The day had begun normally inside Sterling Corp's glass-walled headquarters until a small, trembling figure burst through the lobby doors. 8-year-old Emma, daughter of the powerful CEO Olivia Sterling, ran with tears streaking down her face, clutching her doll with knuckles white from fear. Employees froze mid-step as she rushed past security, ignoring them completely, her eyes searching frantically until they locked on the one person she trusted in that building more than anyone, the quiet janitor, Daniel Cole. Though most people barely noticed him sweeping the marble floors, Emma had always sensed something different about him, something safe. She skidded to a halt, grabbed his hand with both of hers, and cried out words that made his entire world shift in one violent instant. "They beat my mom, she's dying, please, please help her." For a moment the entire lobby went silent except for Emma's ragged breathing, and Daniel's eyes, normally calm and distant, suddenly hardened like steel awakening. 2. Daniel didn't ask questions. He scooped Emma into his arms and sprinted toward the private elevator to the executive floor, moving with a speed that shocked the guards trailing behind him. The employees whispered, assuming he was overstepping. After all, he was just a janitor, but Daniel's mind had already slipped into an old mode he had buried years ago. The elevator dinged open to a chaotic scene, overturned chairs, shattered glass, files scattered across the carpet like a storm had ripped through. The smell of expensive perfume mixed with the metallic tang of blood. On the floor, barely conscious, lay Olivia Sterling, powerful, feared, brilliant, now beaten almost beyond recognition. Emma let out a choked scream and reached for her mother, but Daniel stopped her gently. His voice, usually soft and humble, transformed into something sharp, controlled, commanding, something that made even the armed security guards hesitate. "Step back," he said, kneeling beside Olivia. "Let me work." 3. Daniel's hands moved with the precision of someone who had done this many times before, far too many. He checked Olivia's pulse, assessed her injuries, and tore strips of his own uniform to stop the bleeding. Emma watched with wide eyes, clutching Olivia's hand, whispering, "Mommy, please stay awake, he's helping, don't leave me." Daniel stabilized her head, checking her airway, his brows tightening at the bruises along her ribs. "She's going into shock," he muttered, more to himself than anyone else. "Where's the on-site medical team? Why aren't they here?" A guard stammered something about delayed response, but Daniel wasn't listening. He slid one arm under Olivia's back, feeling her flinch, and whispered, "Stay with me, Olivia. I've seen worse than this. You're not dying today." His voice held a strange confidence, like someone who had pulled life back from the edge countless times. 4. The emergency medical team finally arrived, but when they tried to take over, Daniel's sharp command froze them mid-step. "Don't move her yet, her ribs are unstable. You'll puncture a lung." The medics exchanged stunned looks. Only someone with advanced combat paramedic training would know that instantly. But Daniel didn't explain, he simply continued treating Olivia with skill far beyond what his janitor job implied. When he finally allowed the medics to transfer her onto a stretcher under his supervision, the entire team seemed to defer to him instinctively. Emma clung to his leg as if afraid he might disappear. Daniel placed a steady hand over hers and said softly, "I'm not going anywhere. I promised your mom I'd always protect you." Those words made everyone around glance at him in confusion. Why would a janitor make such a promise? And how did he know how to save her so expertly? 5. As Olivia was rushed to the company's private medical wing, police arrived to secure the scene. Emma refused to leave Daniel's side, gripping his fingers tightly as officers questioned staff, gathered evidence, and examined the broken office. Daniel, standing silently near the doorway, took in every detail, the footprint direction, broken vase positioning, and bruising pattern on Olivia. His eyes were analyzing, calculating, remembering, behaviors far more fitting for a trained investigator than a man hired to mop floors. One detective noticed his intensity and asked, "You've done this before, haven't you?" Daniel simply looked at him, his voice low. "I've done everything necessary to protect the people who matter." Emma leaned closer to him, sensing the storm behind his calm frame, and whispered, "You're not just a janitor, are you?" 6. The truth was, Daniel Cole had once been one of the most skilled tactical medics in a covert international rescue unit. He had saved VIPs, diplomats, and children from war zones, until a mission went tragically wrong, costing innocent lives. The guilt drove him away from the world of violence, and he quietly resurfaced as a janitor in Sterling Corp for a reason he'd kept hidden. He had once made a silent oath to Olivia Sterling's late husband, a man he had failed to save years before. Daniel had promised to watch over Olivia and Emma from the shadows, protecting them without ever revealing who he truly was. He kept that vow faithfully, until today, when danger had ripped through their lives and forced him to reveal fragments of the person he had tried so hard to bury. 7. While medics worked on Olivia, Emma sat beside her unconscious mother with Daniel's arm protectively around her. She whispered, "They came to take her files. I heard them yelling." Daniel leaned closer. "Did you see their faces?" Emma shook her head. "Masks. But one had a snake tattoo on his wrist. I saw it when he grabbed Mommy's hair." Daniel's expression hardened. He knew that mark. It belonged to a violent mercenary group known as the Serpents, hired by corrupt executives and criminal investors to intimidate or eliminate competitors. If they targeted Olivia, it meant she had stumbled on something far larger. Daniel stood up slowly, his protective instincts blazing to life. "They'll come again," he murmured. "And next time, they'll want Emma too." 8. At that moment, the board of directors burst into the medical wing, arguing among themselves, some pretending to be concerned while others clearly panicked. When they questioned why the janitor was even present, Emma stepped in front of Daniel like a tiny warrior. "He saved my mommy. He's the only one who helped. He stays." Even the board members fell silent under her fierce declaration. Daniel bowed his head in respect to the brave child beside him. Moments later, the doctors emerged, announcing that Olivia was stable but unconscious. Emma sobbed with relief and hugged Daniel tightly. He knelt to her level, brushing her hair back gently. "I'll protect you both," he promised, "no matter who comes." 9. But danger was already closing in. A high-ranking executive named Marcus Vale watched Daniel with cold interest, realizing the attack hadn't gone as planned. Marcus had secretly hired the mercenaries to steal documents exposing his illegal deals. Now that Olivia was alive, and Daniel had seen too much, Marcus knew the situation was spiraling out of control. He excused himself from the room and made a quiet phone call. "The janitor is a problem," he whispered. "Remove him tonight." Meanwhile, Daniel felt the shift in the air, the unmistakable sense of being hunted. He had lived too long in war zones not to recognize the signs. 10. Night fell over Sterling Corp, and Daniel stayed near Emma's room, refusing to sleep. He watched security monitors flicker, memorized patrol routes, and studied the shadows for movement. And then he saw it, 3 figures slipping through the stairwell, moving with coordinated silence. Assassins. Daniel exhaled deeply, the calm before a storm. "Stay here," he whispered to Emma as he locked her inside the secured room. Then he stepped into the hallway, his expression devoid of fear. What happened next was something no one in the building ever forgot. Daniel moved like a ghost, fast, precise, unstoppable. Within minutes, all 3 attackers were disarmed and unconscious on the floor. Security rushed in, finding Daniel standing over them with nothing more than a broom handle, transformed into a weapon in his hands.